young child fighting a terrible disease like cancer or leukemia. And they're giving it their all, but it's constantly hurting them, they're constantly sick because of it, they stay bedridden because they can't get up, they can't eat, they can't sleep, and all of the drugs that are supposed to help treat them are very effective. But never fear, because there actually is a miracle drug that will make their lives 10 times easier. The only problem is this drug is illegal. Men and women and children every day suffer from terrible diseases, and while the treatments that they get help with the disease long term, the symptoms are definitely go untreated, and the drugs that they get just don't help at all.
This was my then 2-year-old nephew's experience when he was fighting chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and this is his experience with medical marijuana while fighting that disease. People should be more open to marijuana use, both recreational and medically. Kelly will explain the problems associated with marijuana, Hunter will explain the causes associated with it, and I will be discussing the solution to medical marijuana. To begin, Kelly will be discussing the problems with legalizing marijuana for recreational medical usage.
Thank you, Miranda. Different states are refusing to legalize the use of recreational and medical marijuana. There are many benefits that come to using marijuana. According to Kate Blackstone's 2015 article, 11 non-medical benefits of marijuana, marijuana helps to stimulate your brain's chemistry. First, it helps people to relax. For instance, shy people may find themselves opening up more, or uptight people may be easier to hang out with. Secondly, your senses are heightened. A few examples include an increase in appetite, food tasting better, and even hearing the food as you eat it. According to the same article, creativity and perspective are altered when using cannabis. Your creativity may be flowing more freely, and you may find yourself being more imaginative and expressive. You may also find yourself discovering new talents that you may not have known you had. You may be also open to new ways of thinking. People often find themselves happier with their new perspective on life after using cannabis. Marijuana also comes with a lack of risks. According to Owen Poindexter's 6 powerful reasons to legalize marijuana, marijuana was found less harmful than alcohol. You can overdose and die using alcohol, but you can't really overdose using marijuana. Alcohol can lead to liver disease and cancer, but there are no long-term effects to using marijuana. Cannabis was also found less harmful than cigarettes. Studies show that cigarettes are much more addictive than any other drug, including marijuana. The long-term consequences of smoking tobacco can include cancer and bad teeth, whereas, as I mentioned before, there are no long-term consequences to smoking marijuana. 2 main strains of cannabis oils have been approved by the Food and Drug Administration for medicinal use. THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, is the oil that will give you a high feeling, and is also used to treat muscle spasms caused by multiple sclerosis, nausea from chemotherapy treatments, and epileptic disorders. CBD is the other oil that's been approved, and it has the same benefits as THC, but it doesn't produce the high feeling. It helps to reduce pain, control epilepsy, and to treat mental illness and addiction. Now that we've addressed the problems related to the legalization of medical and recreational marijuana, Hunter will now talk about why these problems exist.
Thanks, Kelly. The main cause for the slow-going progression of legalizing marijuana for recreational and medical purposes is a lack of understanding about it. First off, a lot of people have a negative predisposition for it. Like, as Emperor mentioned, they think of its effects as bad or worse than tobacco or alcohol, but the facts just prove that isn't true. A lot of people think that it is often used as a gateway drug to harder drugs. But according to DARE, they have taken marijuana off their list of gateway drugs, showing that they don't believe it as harmful as originally thought. Secondly, it is often correlated to other illegal plant-based drugs, the first of which is cocaine. According to Eric Patterson's 2016 article, The Effects of Cocaine Use, a long-term effect of using cocaine is increased risk of stroke. Another one is blood-borne diseases, which are caused by the unsanitary injection sites. Another drug that is often as often looked on as the same as marijuana is heroin. According to Eric Patterson's 2016 article, The Effects of Heroin Use, two side effects of heroin are poor dental hygiene, where your gums get all bad and your teeth resemble popcorn kernels, and also dry and cracked skin, which is caused by obsessive scratching. The last drug is ecstasy, and two side effects of this are insomnia and depression. While these things happen to all these other illegal drugs, all these things happen very rarely, if at all, in marijuana. Miranda will talk about possible solutions to marijuana.
Thank you, Hunter. Society should try to be more open and educate themselves on marijuana. The effects of not legalizing is continuing that negative stigma associated with marijuana. The amount of arrests, marijuana-related arrests alone in 2015 were 643,121, and these were just possession charges alone. Keeping marijuana illegal is expensive, costing the U.S. $3.5 billion a year, and that's just for court sanctions like jail fees, court fees, and attorney costs as well. Arrests stay on record for a long time as well, causing that person to not be able to get a job or continue on with school, which means they have to end up using government programs like welfare. The death rate associated with prescription drugs to treat the same diseases and marijuana don't compare. Prescription drugs kill 100,000 people per year, whereas marijuana, there are no documented deaths from the usage. Mentioned before, society has placed a negative connotation on marijuana. We've provided facts to prove cannabis isn't nearly as harmful as people think, and it's much safer than prescription medication. Marijuana was considered a gateway drug by DARE, giving it a bad name from society. Many states have also legalized marijuana for medical and recreational use. 26 states have legalized cannabis for medical, and out of the 26 states, 20 have legalized it for recreational as well.
Being more open to the medical and recreational use of cannabis will benefit society and hopefully help it to become legalized.
Kelly addressed the problems why marijuana isn't being legalized as well. I discussed why that is happening, and Miranda talked about some solutions for it.
We encourage you to open your minds to the thought of legalizing marijuana. The proven benefits outweigh the risks astronomically, and it starts with educating people like you to turn the tables and discussion on marijuana usage for the future.